Alright, YouTube, it's time for Occult Literature number 72, Ophiolatreia, Serpent Worship, which is something that several people have been eagerly awaiting. It is now available, 134 pages, so longer than Phallism, I believe a couple pages longer than Cultus Arborum, and from the same general printing series. They released a whole bunch of works. I just obtained the 3 remaining works that I didn't already have to edit and release. I believe it's 8 total. I'll be releasing them all probably by the end of the year. Along with the Greater Key of Solomon, the Lesser Key of Solomon, some other grimoires, some other spiritual texts, alchemy, and so forth. Link in the description as always to where you can purchase my edition of this work off of Amazon. Second link to my books blog if you're interested in this. Cultus Arborum and Phallism are already available as well. The other 5 names from this series are forthcoming, as well as a great many others. I would recommend like Homan's Powwows if you're into this sort of material. Probably the Sanitatis Salernitanum, other works of that nature. Certainly King James Demonology comes to mind. This work focuses on serpent imagery, serpent worship, and everything serpentine in quite a few different cultures. It fixates, this one, unlike Phallism and Cultus Arborum, that fixate fairly heavily on the Hindu tradition. This covers Hinduism because, of course, serpent imagery, especially the cobra, is fairly common in Hinduism. You'd have the Nagas and so forth. There are several tales relating encounters with those, anecdotal tales about people who worshipped these beings. But at the same time, it focuses most heavily on Mesoamerican culture. Not in one, but I believe 3 different sections are specifically almost entirely about Mexican culture, as well as the mound builders. Now, this is probably of interest to those that are sort of on the so-called fringe of archaeology. There's a great deal of debate over what the mound-building civilizations were. Of course, you don't hear about that much in school. You're probably not even aware of the fact that literally thousands of dirt and stone mounds were built in the middle of the United States in the Mississippi Basin in antiquity. That were, in many cases, destroyed and excavated for brick. Some of these were almost entirely stone. It was excavated for building material. Railroads had to go through them sometimes. They were destroyed for that purpose. We have Serpent Mound, certainly. We would think of the Nazca Lines, although they're not mentioned in this work. I believe the Nazca Lines weren't even actually discovered until after this work was produced in the 1890s. I may be wrong there. But at the same time, serpent imagery is everywhere in the world. Like phallic imagery and like tree imagery, serpentine imagery is everywhere because it's an archetype that's common to mankind. Here's this sort of weird, slithery creature. It must have looked very odd to ancient man. We're talking pre-antiquated man. And so tales basically abound around the world, even in places where snakes really, they don't, play that big a role. Some island culture out there somewhere has a snake god, even though there are no snakes on the island, that sort of thing. But certainly the Nagas from Indian tradition are at the forefront here. The mound builders and some of the serpentine imagery they left behind. Some of these mounds are like 15 feet tall. They span a quarter mile of total area. They're quite large. The Serpent Mound, I believe, originally had as well an obelisk in its mouth, made of obsidian, and some people claim, of course, it could channel lightning, and that people would see like the sparks flying down the actual snake, that there were conductive rocks embedded within the mound, and so it would sort of, look like it was moving or becoming animated, and that this might have been the purpose behind it, something like that. No necessary truth to that, it's just a theory. We have the tale of the basilisk, of course, from ancient Middle Eastern culture, and it goes from, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, Rome certainly had its serpent cults, through the Middle East and the Near East, through Arabic culture, post-Muhammad. It speaks about that. It calls him Muhammad for some reason in this specific work. It uses some antiquated spellings there. It calls them Mohammedans instead of Islamists or Muslims. It's pretty funny. India, Tibet, so the Tibetan Buddhist path. Mesoamerica, though, I think fixates on Mesoamerica more than any other culture within this specific work. It also relates that there are semi-civilized cultures. It's very funny to see them referred to like Native Americans. They're not, true savages. They're not complete barbarians. They're semi-civilized. They were more astute. They had understanding. It's just, they lived, they didn't have like iron tools or something like that, I guess, or they didn't invent, steamships or whatever. A very good work, again, about 134 pages in length, so it's more substantial than Phallism, and it's from the same series. I know some people were looking forward to it, so it's now fully available, re-edited, modernized, all the English. Of course, it was from the British Empire, so you have some U's thrown in there for no reason, like favorable and color, and it's just makes it easier to read if you correct all these things. There were also quite a few grammatical errors in this. Now, I know these works are ascribed to Hargrave Jennings. It has not been proven that that's actually the case. It may or may not be so. Doesn't really matter. Nature Worship is another one. I think I'll probably work on that title next. And there's the Masculine Cross, the Rosy Cross, Phallic Miscellany, and the other one was Fire, Fish, and something. I can't remember what it's called. Actually, I think there might have been a ninth title in there somewhere, but I will be releasing them all. So again, link in the description to where you can purchase my edition of this work off of Amazon. Second link to my books blog if you want more of this sort of historical material. Phallism again, and Cultus Arborum are already there. Other works are forthcoming. That's about all. Peace out.